Pause for a second before you step out the door with that step-counting watch on your wrist. Really pause. Because if you believe 10,000 steps a day are the ticket to saving your waistline, I need to say this plainly. Your body does not run on those numbers. It runs on signals. And chances are, for years now, you've been sending it the wrong ones. We've grown comfortable with a very easy idea. Movement is good. Sweat means progress. But in biology, movement means nothing if the brain doesn't understand what you're doing. The human body wasn't designed to burn energy for fun. It was designed to survive. And when you move in a half-hearted way, slow, distracted, head down staring at a phone, your brain gets the message instantly. No danger, no need to adapt, no reason to open the reserves. That's why so many people walk every day, hit their step goals, log the hours, and still see the same belly. Not because they're lazy, but because their body is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Your body is like a hybrid engine. One fuel is cheap, fast, and easy to burn sugar. The other is slow, dense, and almost limitless fat. In modern life, most of us are stuck in sugar-burning mode, even when we exercise. The moment your heart rate spikes too fast and your breathing turns frantic, the brain reads stress. And when stress shows up, fat is not allowed to leave storage. The doors lock. Here's the paradox. To burn fat, you cannot make the body panic. There's a very specific physiological zone where the body has to produce energy but still feels safe. Not so light that it's just a stroll. Not so hard that it triggers alarm bells. If you've ever walked and felt your body heat up, your breathing deepen, still able to talk but unable to sing, you've already touched this zone, even if you never had a name for it. In that zone, something important happens. Oxygen flows steadily into the cells. The mitochondria, the tiny furnaces inside you, receive a clear signal. Energy is needed, but the world is not dangerous. And when that safety signal is present, fat begins to be released. This isn't about feeling. This is physiology. Even more interesting, walking the right way doesn't just burn energy while you're moving. It pushes the body to build more furnaces. More mitochondria mean that months later, you can burn fat more efficiently even while you sleep. Not because you're trying harder, but because your body's hardware has been upgraded. Yet, there's one factor most people overlook: terrain. Flat ground is too forgiving. It lets the body cheat using momentum and tendon elasticity. Hills don't. Inclines force large muscle groups to work. And when big muscles engage, the entire energy handling system shifts. That's why 20 minutes of uphill walking can create a stronger biological effect than an hour of casual flat walking. Timing is biology, not scheduling. In the morning, when insulin is low, the body is more willing to burn fat. But if you drink coffee and then sit still, the fat that gets released simply finds its way back. Movement immediately afterward completes the cycle. Release, transport, burn. Miss one step, and you're back at the starting line. And then there's a detail so ordinary it's easy to dismiss. Your eyes. When you stare down at a screen while walking, the brain enters a subtle stress state. Cortisol rises. Fat is told to stay put. When you look far ahead and let the environment move through your vision, the nervous system calms. The body understands you're moving in safety. This isn't mindfulness. It's visual biology. Next time you walk, notice where the heat builds. If your calves and glutes feel warm, you're doing it right. If your shins hurt and you feel drained, you're probably just going through the motions. And if mornings don't work for you, that's fine. 10 minutes of walking after a meal can pull sugar out of the bloodstream, flatten blood glucose, and ease hormonal load. The body responds better to small signals at the right time than to big efforts at the wrong one. I'm not telling this story so you walk more. I'm telling it so you walk differently. So you stop blaming yourself for trying and failing because the problem was never your discipline. It may simply be that no one ever explained how your body actually works. If you've walked a lot and seen no change, leave a comment. Morning or evening, eyes on your phone or on the road ahead. I want to hear real experiences because science only matters when it meets real life. There's one more thing I want you to face, even if it's uncomfortable. Many people aren't failing because they're doing something wrong, but because they're doing the right things for a body that no longer exists. Our biology was written for a world with scarce food, purposeful movement, and very little chronic stress. But we live in a world of excess energy, constant stimulation, and a lack of safety signals. When the environment changes, but the way we move doesn't, the body chooses the safest option, holding on. That's why the same walking habit works for some people and not for others. It's not about genetics. It's about the nervous system receiving different messages. Modern biology is very clear on this. Fat loss is not a muscle problem. It's a signaling problem. Oxygen signals, hormonal signals, safety signals. When you walk in the correct physiological zone, heart rate stays controlled, breathing stays deep, and the body doesn't flood itself with cortisol. And low cortisol is a prerequisite for visceral fat to begin retreating. This isn't motivational talk. This is a hormonal relationship measured in laboratories. Here's a small detail with massive biological weight. Muscle acts like a living energy reservoir. When muscles contract rhythmically at the right intensity, they pull sugar and fat out of the bloodstream with minimal insulin involvement. This explains why people who maintain light but consistent, well-timed movement often carry less deep fat, even without aggressive dieting. There's also a second heart most people never think about: the calves. These muscles are designed to work for long periods without fatigue and play a powerful role in energy regulation. When you walk with full range of motion and push through the toes, blood is pumped back to the heart more efficiently. Inflammation drops, and metabolism improves. If your calves feel warm and light after walking, that's a good sign. If you just feel tired and sore, you may be fighting your own biology. What's fascinating is this: the body doesn't need big shocks to change. It needs the right signals, repeated long enough. 10 minutes of walking after a meal can be more valuable than 30 minutes of random walking. 20 minutes on an incline can shift how your body handles energy for hours afterward. This is a cascading biological effect, not a miracle. If you've ever thought, "I'm doing everything right and nothing is changing," try asking a different question. What signals am I sending my body every day? Rushed, stressed, forced signals, or clear, intentional, and safe ones? This channel exists to talk about things like that. Not hacks, not 7-day challenges, but how the body actually works when you stop looking at it through advertising and trends. If these ideas help you see familiar habits from a different angle, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. We don't chase trends here. We follow biology, and I genuinely want to hear from you. When do you usually walk, morning or evening? Have you ever felt like you were walking a lot but going nowhere? Leave a comment below. Your story might be the missing piece that helps someone else finally understand their own body. There's a deeper layer of persuasion we haven't touched yet, and it relates to something many people are unknowingly damaging every single day: metabolic flexibility. This isn't a vague concept. It's the body's ability to switch smoothly between energy sources without triggering biological panic. A flexible body isn't afraid of mild hunger, isn't threatened by prolonged movement, and doesn't cling to fat like a life raft. The problem is that modern life strips this ability away early. Constant eating, sitting for too long, bursts of exercise, followed by exhaustion. All of this teaches the body a very clear lesson. Energy arrives unpredictably. The environment can't be trusted. Storage is necessary. When that lesson is repeated long enough, belly fat stops being a side effect and becomes a survival strategy. Walking in a biologically correct way isn't about burning a few extra calories. It's about retraining a metabolic skill that's been forgotten. When you move long enough in a controlled state, the body relearns this truth. Energy can be used slowly, without urgency, without fear. And once that lesson is stored, the impulse to hoard fat begins to weaken. Some studies show that simply improving fat oxidation during low-intensity movement can significantly improve insulin sensitivity even before any visible weight change occurs. That means the internal shift happens first, long before the mirror reflects it. This is where many people quit too early, because they're watching the mirror instead of the quiet biological process unfolding underneath. There's another factor rarely discussed: circadian rhythm. The body doesn't process energy the same way at every hour of the day. When you move against that rhythm, efficiency drops sharply. Not because you're lazy, but because your hormones aren't aligned with you at that moment. Walking at the right time, in the right rhythm, is how you work with your body instead of dragging it in the opposite direction. Then there's a very real psychological layer. When a habit doesn't produce visible results, the brain stops investing. You begin going through the motions. The body notices immediately. Movement loses its biological meaning. This is the loop that traps people who say they've tried everything, when in reality, they've never sent a clear enough signal. What I want you to understand is this: your body doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be consistent in the right way. No extra time, no extra tools. Just clarity about what you're doing and why. When that happens, each step stops being an obligation and becomes a biological message with real weight. If you're listening to this and it feels like someone just named the problem you've been carrying, stay with this channel. Subscribe not to watch another video, but to slowly rebuild your relationship with your body through understanding, not pressure. And I still want you to answer in the comments: what has exhausted you the most in your fat loss journey so far? Not to complain, but to expose the wrong signals that have been lingering for too long. Those conversations are where science becomes alive and why this channel exists. Before this video ends, I want you to hold on to one very small but very real thing. Not a new walking trick, not another number to chase, but a different way of seeing your own body. Your body has never been working against you. It has only been responding logically to the signals you send it every day. When you force it, it holds on. When you rush it, it defends itself. When everything is done under stress, it chooses storage as a survival strategy. Belly fat, in many cases, is not a personal failure. It is the biological memory of a body that has had to stay on guard for too long. When you start moving in alignment with biology, you're no longer training to punish yourself. You are calming the nervous system, telling the brain, everything is okay. We're moving with control, with oxygen, with rhythm. And only when that message is clear and repeated does the body feel safe enough to release what it has been holding so tightly. Real change always begins internally, quietly, long before it shows up in the mirror. If this video helped you realize that maybe you were never wrong, just never properly explained to, then stay with this channel. Subscribe not for promises of fast fat loss, but because here we talk about the body through science, real life, and respect. And before you go, leave a comment. What has been the hardest part of changing your body for you? Your answer isn't just for me. It might speak to many others who have been silently struggling just like you.